Praises Scaravan in the sky. Matt Trammell.
Hallelujah.
How are you, brother?
JP.
Yes, and also with you, my friend. Good seeing you on this Monday, dude.
Yeah, excellent to see you. Another beautiful week in the books,
You know,
so to speak.
that's a good way to put it. Matt and I have really just been shooting the for the past about 35 minutes. I refused to bring us live, and
Getting
instead
prepped.
was chatting with the player. But I appreciate you guys joining us. We are about to dive into the second installment, potentially the final, potentially the second of
yeah.
3. We'll see.
It's always potentially final.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
death
Oh my
involved
gosh,
around the corner, every corner.
so true.
Ugh.
I think we're both learning in the 1v1 that it could be the final scene at any moment in time.
Oh yeah.
But this is the Shadows
help
of Menzoberranzan, featuring Cierre, the Drow Spy, who of course is part of the Silver Marches 3rd edition campaign adventure book. We are playing with 5th edition rules, but largely drawn from my own homebrew campaign and this wonderful character, Cierre, which, you know, again, I lifted from Silver Marches and then have kind of reskinned to a degree. But before we dive in, Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit just about yourself, your character, and then I'll kind of recap us.
Cierre is a drow from Menzoberranzan. She's kind of like a lieutenant in the ranks, roughly. Not an official title, but she's got some people above her, and she will die for the cause of the drow to come back as a people and reclaim the world that rightfully belongs to them. They were banished thousands of years ago. And so she's all about that cause, and she's got some besties in that she's grew up with. One being a fella named Baron Chena, who she feels very dear to, and almost has like a secret yearning to be with Baron Chena. But Baron Chena's another lieutenant / whatever the next rank up would be, probably like one level higher than her, and she's got mad respect for. And he's a little bit older than her, but you know, took her under his wing probably when they were really young. That's a backstory I've imagined in my head.
That's
So
exactly
she's on the
what
hunt.
it is.
Yeah, she's on the hunt to find him. He hasn't been in contact. He's been on a mission and he went disappearing. I successfully completed my mission a few days ago, and came back, and he's still out on his, and there's no word from him. I've got a sending stone he's not responding to, and I fear the worst. So luckily a new mission has come up to check on him and his mission and find out what's going on, and we'll see if we can resolve that and maybe come to his rescue. He's probably captured. I think that's what's going on.
Well, these are all accurate retellings and valid potential theories.
Yeah,
We, we're picking up. This is the second one, and hello everyone. We're picking up sort of where we left off last Monday with the Shadows of Menzoberranzan, featuring Cierre. We basically picked up with you having scaled a very tall tower within this Drow capital. It was largely abandoned. It had many rumors attached. It was sort of considered one of the kind of murder houses of the suburbs, so to speak. However, you were no strangers to heights, and upon scaling inside, you found an old crone in the middle of some foul incantation. She was overworking a very large kind of brew from which there began to rise a dark energy. She spoke to this, or almost to the room, as if it was a beloved kin. She spoke of her son coming and living again, begat of fire and fiend. But you got what you came for, which was a potion of fly, a vial of invulnerability, and a second potion, a third item, that you did not quite determine. You made your way down. You made your way to the actual halls of Scaravan inside the capital, and met with one of the most powerful mages in the city, a man by the name of Umbrage. He, of course, had been part of this kind of workings between you as a Drow Spy on the overground, Baron Chena within the city of Silvery Moon, and whatever pockets and networks the Drow have working upward towards the surface. He'd bid you press forward after enjoying a foot soak, and teleported you via a teleportation circle spell to lands really deep within the earth. I mean, tunnels that had been forged millennia prior when the Drow first fled the surface. You passed across an invisible bridge of darkness, which, yes, is similar to Indiana Jones, but different, proprietarily different. And you made it to the northernmost section of the sanctuary of Cierre, essentially a drow temple that was about 2 miles beneath the actual city of Silvery Moon. You saw the area where some sort of hellish fiend was being summoned, you presumed from a mirror, the exterior covered in a strange writ of runes. And then you saw the slain corpse of an ancient elemental, a Zorn, a beast known to consume diamonds, gold, precious metals. You found the desk of your companion, Baron Shana, and found it empty, largely stripped of its contents, and investigated a chest he had in his study, which, after a failed wisdom throw, sucked you into a pocket dimension. So unfortunately, that's where we're picking up. Yo, how are we, guys? Root, good to see you. Unsolved, good seeing you. Gervanch, I really enjoyed catching the end of y'all's sesh. That was rad. We, as we sort of dive in, I will sort of be leaving the chat until kind of our intermission, if we even take one. But I appreciate you guys so much, and I will be rolling back through the Discord with any questions. So, Cierre, as you felt this cold rush fill your body, your eyes and vision went white, almost like a blinding light, but it didn't hurt your vision. It was just this overwhelming cold. And as you came to, you found yourself almost in a low, witchlight-ridden bog. And as you saw some 40 paces away, a strange 4x4 grid, on the southern side of which lay a cairn of dwarven skulls, a loose stacking of macabre remnants of whatever denizens came to meet their end here. However, there was one figure that moved about the space. A dwarf, his beard long and low, his face lean. He spoke of those that had lost their names, had bid you to bring these skulls, these crowns, that if placed correctly on the shrine, you would find celestial beds for 4 of 9. Now, you had placed 4 skulls without drawing the ire of this man, Ezrath, moving about the chamber. However, whenever you had placed one in the bottom right, Cierre, he had seemed most distressed, and had tore open his chest, flooding towards you with a rush of force energy that dealt quite a blow.
Yeah, it hurt.
You see an area about 30 paces to the east that is sort of a strange, almost like 5x7 area where the ground has been disturbed. And then in the area where you are now standing, which I'll illuminate with this laser pointer right here, to the top right of the screen, you see above you, about 15-20 feet, a small 2-foot wide by foot wide hole, the open chest resting within Baron Shana's study. So what would you like to do?
So I've placed the 4 skulls. I didn't get hit by things. And when I placed those 4 skulls, that's when the opening to the chest appeared and this rope started to dangle. But
no. It was
no?
No.
No.
And there's no rope. Yeah, it was just open.
Oh, there's no rope. I want to inspect the 5x7
Sure.
area again.
Make an investigation check.
Okay. Ooh, natural 1.
Ooh.
Off to a great start.
So you're beginning to panic a little bit, Cierre. I mean, there's that rising, queasy wave of anxiety. You're in a strange scenario. You're not sure why you're here, how you're here. Baron Shana never mentioned this chest. As you go and examine this sort of area where the dirt has been moved, I mean, as you sort of pull it apart, you find old roots, rocks, and nothing but sort of dry earth. You can't make heads or tails of it. At first you thought it was going to be a grave, but unless you want to, like, continue trying to dig. It just appears like an area where the earth beneath it was disturbed. Maybe something was resting on top of it. You're not sure.
I'll go back over to Ezroth.
Sure.
And I'll say, have your companions been properly laid to rest?
They sought divination with saloon, but they delved too deep. The darkness consumed them. My companions each, but they have forgotten their names.
And you see on his sort of like worn tunic, ringmail, largely missing, enormously rusted, in places completely torn and removed. There are the remnants of 2 shoulder plates where they connect, and you see on one, on the top left, more because it's the only one in good enough condition, a crescent moon flanked by 2 stars. And there's no roll on this, Cierre. You've been in the outskirts of Silvery Moon. You're familiar with the political movements and machinations of the north. This is a sigil to the goddess Saloon, the goddess of the night sky, the astral stars. In many ways, the antithesis of he that fell, of Scaravan, the one that burrowed deep.
And what are the, I'm sorry, what are the golden stars arranged in this 4x4?
Whenever you had gone over and examined the actual skulls, and we talked about this briefly on break, or excuse me, like in between sessions, because this was something that essentially happened, and I just am sort of catching it up, so I'm not sure if this was on the actual end of the stream. But as you examined it, and having placed some of the skulls successfully onto this grid puzzle, you saw illuminate 6 golden stars. And make another investigation check for me, Cierre, as you're now sort of walking back over and sort of examining this area.
An 11.
An 11, cool. So, you seem, the verse was brave warriors that had met their demise foretold. Their secrets shall yet unfold. If crowns placed correctly on the shrine, then celestial beds for 4 of 9. You assume that riddle relates to these stars. You're not able to really piece it all the way out in such a way that it makes sense, but it sends you down that path.
I'm gonna do some more digging like I did over in the 5x7 area and just dig one of the star areas. This upper right one. Let me bring out my pointer. 3x3 over here with a skull on it. Whose skull is this?
You want to
Magdalene.
You want to try to dig in it?
Yeah, I want to just dig in. I mean, is this just like a glow from under the dirt, or what does it look like?
It's
like these or is it just like a star that appears?
Some of these have been recessed, right? In terms of they almost look like open graves or shallow graves. You're just placing what is a skull, right? You don't see any bones necessarily. Whenever you had read this and looked back, it rests almost, I hesitate to say a hologram, but almost like a light projection, almost like a 4th level create image spell. It's very much an immaterial thing. But you go up to it and you run your hand through it, and the light doesn't shift onto your hand at all. You're able to almost pass through it without it absorbing onto you, almost like it has risen from the earth itself.
Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know what that means.
You didn't roll a high enough investigation check, but you connect the riddle, the verse on the northern part of the skulls, to being connected to these stars. But you can't put it all the way together, unfortunately. You also, for what it's worth, do have the ability to leave this place, if you like.
Okay. What do I have? I have no rope. Okay. Well, then I guess I will drink my potion of fly.
Okay.
Fly out the top.
So you walk back, and as you're going, you hear him.
Wait. They have forgotten the names.
And you're like, fuck this. You down this potion. It's almost topaz-colored potion of fly. You feel that same weightlessness fill your body. And you float up and out of this space. And as you pass through, you're expecting to kind of come into the bottom of the chest, right? But as soon as you come up, it's almost like you're coming up through the floor in the space next to it. It's very discombobulating. Like you're starting to put your arms out to kind of catch yourself, and you're already standing on the stone.
I guess I'll go catch my breath. Be like, that guy's crazy. And continue exploring.
Okay. So, this is the area on the top left where you've now apparated back into the empty, kind of stripped study of Baron Chain of the Hellmage. That odious sort of metallic rot of the sort of, at least weak, if not more, dead Zorn is immediately tangible and pungent. But you are in this room. You entered the space from the east.
Out that way, back into the initial chamber with the braziers.
Sure. So you go back into this center room?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'll take my first right. I'm just going to keep working my way clockwise. So I'll go over that bridge.
All the way over this bridge, got it. Cool.
Down here. Oh, nope, the other.
This one. Here.
Yeah. Oh, no, I got my pointer on it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Do it again.
It's the one right outside the cavern.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I guess I could use cardinal directions. Yeah.
So, for you viewers, you can see a little bit more than Cierre can see. Just bear that in mind, as the fog is partially separating some of this. You step through, and there is, plunging darkness in between kind of the area where this mirror was set up and these other bridged sections. These rock sort of formations, some of them glow with a low light that has either not been extinguished or has been, added into the area. However, as you walk in, make a perception check for me. Wow. Wait a minute.
Okay. Whoops. Wrong thing.
Okie dokie. Time to create some more fog. Excusez-moi. Okay, cool. So, you step into this room, Cierre. What'd you roll in your perception check?
D20.
Dirty 20? Let's go.
Yeah.
My owlbear is just really enjoying its moment. And that's okay. You step into this room. It is filled with this almost like copper kiln. And what is demarked is not actually representative of the barrels in this area. It is largely empty, and honestly largely bereft of many of the cobwebs that were originally pictured. This is an accurate representation of maybe 2-3 weeks ago. You do, however, with a 20, head into this sort of northernmost area. You find small granules of a very fine, almost ivory or sort of gunmetal gray. A very, very, very dark, finely ground powder. You can feel within these actual kilns residual heat. You also, with a 20, hear the shuffle of footsteps, the patter of ringmail against steel.
Does it sound like they're getting closer?
You take a quick moment, and then you hear, sort of almost indistinct, "Come on then, let's get it sorted. 2 more and we're back out of this spooky place. Come on, Sten."
I'm gonna hide.
Sure. Make a stealth check.
I've got my hood up.
Okay, make it with advantage. You have time to put it up.
22.
22, okay. Noted. So you pull into the
How
corner.
tall is this cavern in here?
It's about 15 feet.
Sorry. 15 feet, good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Did not know he was still on this. Okay, cool. So let me see where I dropped my second guy. Great. You see stepping in to this room a man wearing half plate, long sword on his side. And the first thing you notice with your passive perception is almost like looking at a retro jersey. Like whenever you go to a Lakers game and they're wearing the old like blue and whites. But you notice on the shoulder plates, crescent moons flanked by 2 stars on either side. Fuck you, man. There was so much blood. Hey, do you know drow blood was black? Shit's wild. It's not black, you bloody idiot. It was dried. It was old. That's why it was black, see? Well, it still could have been black, mate. We don't know. You see this one who's sort of crying out. Look around this room, see nothing, and head in here. Hey, give me a hand. There's more than 2. You hear me? There's more than 2. Shut up. I'm on my way. There's a sound of sort of something sliding across the stone. Some sort of movements, fucking idiot, sort of, frustrated but good-natured coordination. And after a moment, you see the 2 of them sliding a barrel and heading out of your field of vision. They come here, having entered from this space, and then exit to the south here. What would you like to do, Cierre?
This powder that's around
Mm-hmm.
that you described, do I get the suspicion that that's gunpowder? Like that Baron was supposed to be setting?
Make an investigation check with advantage,
Okay.
given the context of these barrels.
That's an 18.
You take a little bit of it, and you're like about to taste it, and you're like, well, I don't really have anything to fucking compare this to. It is sulfurous, which you know sometimes can be highly combustible. You take a small bit of it, and you begin to kind of smudge it on the top part of this very kind of hot steel kiln. And there's a pop. And you're like, holy fuck. You like feel this and smell it. And there's a smoldering on your finger. Not enough to do damage, but enough whenever you touch something hot, you immediately put it in ice. You're like, God damn it. Is that going to blister? This does appear to be the explosive powder. You know that there are Drow gunslingers, that there are those that use more or less explosive pole arms and hand arms to fire projectiles lethally over a significant distance. What you had been supplied with was not a full picture of whatever Operation Umbrage had going with Baron Chaina. However, you did know that this Hell Mage, this mentor, this companion of yours, was working with a surface group out of Waterdeep, known as the Blind Jackals, and that they had been able to supply enormous volumes of this sort of black, sulfurous source material to turn into this powder. Now, you don't see a lot of these barrels. You do, of course, hear these men talking about grabbing, quote, the last of them as they're wheeling them out. And make another stealth check as you hear sort of the patter in the conversation as these two men again sort of slide by you, heading back the way they had come.
Do I know if this is the area where Baron Chaina was meant to stage these barrels for the explosion, or do I know if this was a storage area and they were meant to be moved before the explosion?
You knew in talking to Umbrage and sort of in Baron Chaina's back and forth that they were like amassing an enormous cache here. You know, part of it was being transposed by this above ground connection and then brought within Silvery Moon. You essentially know that Baron Chaina was working through these kilns to use this explosive powder to either weaken the wards of Silvery Moon or set up some sort of explosive. But to directly answer your question, it was never made clear. You feel like if there were kilns, it could potentially be blown up deep within the ground, but if the majority of them have been taken, then it seems like the majority of what the explosive payload would be has been removed.
Okay.
Make a stealth check.
Oh, I did that. 28.
Cool. Great. They pass by again. The younger one that's not as heavily armored, although they do look kind of identical. Well, you know, lucky I guess we got a couple of them drow still alive. It's hard to say where these pipes lead, but all this powder, it's enough. I mean, it's big, right? I mean, you've heard them talk about it. Yeah, no, I have, but I don't think anyone's going to give up their secrets that easy. We just need to bring it back up, get it outside the temple, get it somewhere safe within the palace, and well, let the high-ups decide. Right, but I mean, surely you're curious, right? I mean, what the Drow doing? Haven't been seen inside Silvery Moon, 2,000 years. We'll let the Inquisitors figure that out, Sten. Move these fucking barrels, mate. He slides in to this room, sort of beyond your field of vision, and again, the sort of grunting coordination is seen before these two men are kind of wedging together one of these barrels, which is, I mean, pretty enormous. I mean, they're about almost 3.5 feet tall, clearly packed to the brim, quite dense. And just as soon they're gone, heading back to the southern side of wherever this room may be. In Cierre, if you'd like to stay hidden, that's obviously completely cool. Just let me know. Is that more or less what you would like to do as these people come and go?
I think I'm gonna follow them.
Cool.
Yeah, but I'm gonna try to stay hidden while doing it.
Sure. I think with the 28 and the intention to stay hidden, it's easy enough done. You sort of pinned yourself around the side of what has already been deemed an empty and cleared room. You watch as they make 9 more trips from this central room.
9 more.
Correct.
Okay. I think I would interrupt that
Yeah.
at some point. I didn't know if they got the last barrel and they were leaving, or if it seems like there was a few back and forth. If there's a few back and forth, I would interrupt that.
There are a few back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. And they're usually together 2 by 2, or they separate 1 and 1.
They were separated, but now they have been sort of working in tandem on bringing these barrels out. I'll leave it up to you. How many more barrels did you see them wheel out of there, other than the 2 I've discussed?
1 more.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna do a little sneak attack.
Okay.
I'm going for 1.
So, I love it. I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how this is gonna play out. Let's just remove the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Okay. So, I guess I can go ahead and label them. You know, this is the more heavily armed one. Or excuse me, just is wearing heavier armor, rather. Not hard to see. As they come in, are you waiting for them to go in, or waiting for them to come out?
I'm gonna wait for them to come out with a barrel.
Okay, cool. So they are
they're mid-transport.
on their way out, and you can see them kind of squeezing, and they've sort of fallen, more into that kind of silent monotony of people that are working and trying to kind of get out of there, sort of get off the clock, so to speak. But as this happens, Cierre, you feel bidden forward. Are you attacking with your short bow?
I've got a longbow.
Longbow, my bad.
And I'm gonna longbow with a barbed arrow.
Okay.
The heavily armored one.
Okay, you got it. So first, make an attack roll at advantage, as you have them surprised.
So that is the +1 arrow. Is that to the attack and the damage?
It is just to the damage, unfortunately.
Just to the damage. Okay, I should write that. Okay. That is a 24 to hit.
That hits. Definitely hits.
Hey-oh. Cool. Okay. So, let me roll the damage. It's going to be 9 plus 2, 11. That doesn't apply. Plus the 1, that's 12. That doesn't apply. And then 12 plus my sneak attack.
Yep.
Ooh, 6.
Wow.
3. And 5. So, what did I say? 12 plus 6 is 18, plus 3 is 21, plus 5 is 26 points of damage.
Okay. And as you do that, I need you to please roll for initiative.
Yes!
Wow.
Yes! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh no! Oh god!
You sort of wait, seeing
Where'd
these. I heard the clatter of that die. That's so great. You crouch, Cierre. I mean, not expecting to have anyone with you. I mean, at first it's a little bit alarming, like, yo, who the fuck is this? And as you see them go back and forth, you kind of get a little bit of the measure, sort of the metal of them. You see them go back, and there's simply no time. You ease this arrow forward, choosing one of the larger barbed arrows given to you by Umbridge before departing. And you wait for him to wheel back. And as he does, he's sort of graining the larger one, pushing forward to shove this thing when you see him sort of take this. It absolutely lodges in the side of his neck. His both arms go up, his eyes go wide. And what did you roll on initiative?
Do we have a delay? I think we might have a delay, huh?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. No, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry. I think maybe I'm talking over you, and so
Okay.
I don't get it. Say it again.
Oh. I got a 16 on the initiative.
And as that happens, you see both of them like sort of, oh shit, fuck. They clatter as they reach for these long swords, pulling them out. And it's your turn again. As you see them both like reacting like, holy fuck, but not reacting fast enough.
Okay, so let me. Not exactly sure how rogue stuff works. Do I hide first if I want to, like with a bonus action? I can hide.
If you
and then
wanted
attack?
to attempt to sort of continue to use the, yeah, absolutely. You could use your bonus action first. And given the
Like if I go-
circumstances, the fact they haven't like fully tracked
Yeah.
you guys, they know where the arrow came from. It's a small room, but it can potentially be done.
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna try it. Maybe I'll sneak around behind. I've still got my potion of fly going. I think that lasts
Yeah.
for 10 minutes, so I don't know how long it's been.
It's actually less an hour,
you know.
and it's been
That lasts an hour?
it's been about yeah, a little bit past that. It's been probably about a quarter of an hour.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna just fly up a little bit around the back of the copper kiln
Sure.
and see if I can get a new angle up on these.
So you go like up, which these things go almost all the way. I mean, they literally connect into the ceiling. I mean, they press up the full kind of height of this thing, which, you know, is on average about 15 feet. You sort of swoosh behind it. You see them looking. Fuck, wait, hey, you have eyes? Eyes! Winnie, I don't got eyes. Look. Make a stealth check.
Stealth check. That's gonna be. Oh, my hood's still up. 25.
25. Okay, beats their perception checks with advantage. So you may consider yourself hidden for this first attack.
Great. So we'll go longbow again.
Sure.
And now I'm concentrating on this fly.
Correct.
So I can't do something like a hunter's mark or anything because I'm using my concentration.
Correct.
Okay. That is. Wait, when you're hidden, do you get advantage on an attack? Is that right?
You know, I
On an attack roll?
advantage and surprise are truly like some of the most undefined. It's sort of like invisibility. I
Yeah.
would say for intentions of this situation, surprise and like being hidden is made
Surprise.
much harder whenever they like have figured out where you are. So I would say
Yeah.
for this,
Just
roll
a
with
normal roll.
advantage, as they haven't
Oh,
put
okay.
eyes on you yet.
Not much better. A 19. Still going for the most armored one.
Okay, still going for roll feet. That still hits. 19 hits.
Cool. 19. So, another sneak attack.
You see it. Thump, clap! Damn! Fuck! The fucking kiln! This is now the second one that they were sort of moving towards the top half of the room and perhaps out of it whenever this one hit him in the shoulder and he spins around.
14. Oh, dang. 1, 14, 15, 18. 18 points of damage.
Okay, that was your sneak attack as
On
well?
that one. Yes. Yeah, I got like a 1, a 1, and a 3 on my sneak.
Brutal.
Ugh,
Okay,
gross.
so,
Cool.
you have, I
Oh
believe,
wait, and
a
I also
second
get
attack.
because now I also get more damage because now he's not at his maximum HP, so I get my Hunter Colossus.
Ooh, that's right.
So I get that 1d8 extra there.
And just so you know, Cierre is a multi-class rogue and ranger, so that's where these sort of overlapping skill sets are are coming from.
That's an extra 3 points on that.
He's not happy about it. See, Rin, Stin, rather fuck behind the kiln. Come on, he got me good. He got me good. You see, he's like these are absolutely gashing neck wounds. The piercing, not that insignificant. The placement, potentially fatal. You do, I believe,
And I get an
have a second attack.
extra attack. Yeah,
100%.
I almost forgot that. Cool. Let's do it again. Same thing, another barbed arrow.
Sure. Okay, copy.
This one's not at advantage, I assume, right?
Correct.
Because now they know where I am.
Yes, correct. Because you haven't been able to move and hide since
All right.
that attack. Right.
Right. So that's a 13.
So 13 misses, unfortunately. It comes in, and as he's turned around, you see him kind of crouching defensively, like hunching his shoulders in such a way to rise up the sort of the plate of his armor to protect the neck. It catches off of the top. Shit, there. Fuck is that? You just like nothing but a wash of sort of shadows and cloak. Bonus action. You've already used it. 2 actions. You do have still have movement if you'd like. If your speed is 60 feet of fly. You still have about 40 feet. 45.
I'm just gonna move. I'm gonna stay in this little corner, but I'm gonna get out of sight. So I'll move like 10 feet. I guess I'm as high as I can go up in the air.
You really kind of are.
Yeah,
Like
just
imagine
right
like a very squatty kind of kiln. It's about 12, 14 feet across. Stacked above that, about 7, 8 feet, is like a smaller one, almost like a terracotta stacking, like a condensing of pressure within this sort of cooking device. So yes, at the very top of that, it does split off into multiple pipes that then go into the actual cavern ceiling itself. That is where you have kind of like pinned yourself in. Nimble already, adroit at hiding oneself and preying on people's sightlines, but now aided by this potion of flight.
All right, cool. I'll stay there. Let them come to me, hopefully.
Okay. So let me check their passive perception. You are not hidden because of the sequencing of that.
Right.
However, you are out of sight line. It is now Stin's turn. Shit! Fucking Rolfie! Rolfie! See him sort of step in, see you, hold up his sword, almost like a very specific kind of sequencing. He's like mumbling in what appears to be Elvish before he extends a hand. Shit. And you see this it's essentially like a sphere of fire spin out from his palm, and it spirals outward before hooking to the right. It catches actually on sort of the northeastern side of this wall, and there's this brief just from the excess sort of vapor and entrail of the remnants of this powder, such as their combustibility. Shit! He then is going to sort of use the rest of his movement. They're not this tall, and I'm more just sort of marking them as knights in silver. This guy isn't actually wearing a helmet with a plume, but this is part of the order of the Knights of Silvery Moon. He's going to use his full movement to come in here. It is then going to be Rolfie's turn. 5, 10, 15, 5. Rolfie's going to come in, and you there, fuck! Step down! In the name of Lady Illustrial, step down! And he's gonna pull out a hatchet and just fling it at you, not having access to that height. That's cocked as fuck. Hold up. It's gonna be a dirty 20. That's a 7 points of damage. And he will now pull out a dagger and throw that.
Oh wait, I can uncanny dodge that.
Okay, 7 down to 3. You got it. That is going to be a 19.
That hits.
That is going to be That is going to be 4 points of damage. As he throws his dagger, in the name of Lady Illustrial, stand down! You see him now sort of like having, more or less holstered this longsword. He's throwing everything but the fucking kitchen sink. He's not a projectile guy in that sense, but he is throwing what he can. Stin, his partner, both of them having some training from the Knights in Silver, which, if you'd like, you can make a history check on. But they're doing what they can, and it is now your turn, Cierre. You making a history check?
11 on the history check.
You got it. So, you know that the Knights in Silver and that are sort of a click below the Spell Guard in Silvery Moon. Both are kind of referred to almost like the Marines and like the FBI, which maybe has some sexiness and some respect to some degree, but there's also a certain amount of fear if you're in certain, countries that are not, considered a friendly client of one of those departments, shall we say. You know that oftentimes the Knights in Silver have some training in the arcane arts, but little beyond that. It's your turn.
Gotcha. I'm gonna yell out, "Where are the prisoners, the Drow prisoners?" And then I'm gonna fly. How far? 60?
Sure.
I'm gonna fly 60 feet.
So these are 5 foot squares.
5 foot squares. I'm gonna fly over Rolfie.
Sure.
I think I can get down here. Just this little opening.
Let me see. 15 feet up. I'm gonna roll a d20 because this is very close.
I'll stay at the roof, like stay.
Sure, exactly, and that's why I'm rolling it because you're like right there.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it was gonna be a D11 or over, and it was a D9, so he like goes. You see him like about to sort of gauge it and use his reaction, but not being confident he can do there and get there, so he doesn't. So you move by. Go in here. You got it.
Cool.
10, 15, 20, 25, 30.
Yeah, just down here with this little opening.
So you have another 20 feet of movement if you'd like.
All right, I'm gonna turn and shoot at Rolfie again.
Sure. So this would not be sneak attack, but you can absolutely fire on this guy.
Okay, natural 1. That's not good. Oh wait, no advantage because it's not sneak attack.
As you pull
natural
it
1,
back,
so that's a miss.
you continue flying, like you're drifting, without even sort of realizing it. And as you do, you move forward, but it's like one of those moments where like, shit, you're not a spellcaster on that level. You're overthinking it. Your buoyancy becomes almost like in space. Like sort of, you sort of lose it. Coming up sort of weak, firing into the actual sort of stone and ceiling. You do have a second attack though, if you'd like.
Awesome. Let's do that.
Okay. So you pull back. Is this a barbed arrow or regular one?
A barbed arrow.
Okay, so mark your use, of course.
So I've shot 4 of those. Yeah,
Sure.
marked 4 of those so far. This will be number 5. That is a dirty 20 to hit.
Let's go. Also at Rolfie, that hits. Shit! He now sees you to be a drow. You are not in disguise, correct?
Not in disguise. I've got my hood up, but that's it. So that is going to be this guy. No sneak attack. That's a 10 plus 2 is 12 plus the 1d8 for the Hunter Colossus Slayer. That's a 5.
Yeah, that hunter subclass is cool.
17. Yeah, that's 17 total.
Cool. That hits.
No, that was the damage.
Oh,
That was the
fuck.
damage.
Right, okay, it still hit. Jesus Christ. Okay, he's up.
Oh, good.
I mean, he's barely up, but he's
All
up.
right. So that's the end of my attacks. So I'm going to use the rest of my movement to,
20 feet.
I don't know, just back up into this room
Okay.
and see if I can find a hiding spot. Use my bonus action to hide.
You got it. There are kilns over here, and there is the remnants of a fire in this brazier. You see this sort of northernmost section connected similarly to the others, but this is almost like split into 3. There aren't as many barrels as you see laid out on the map, but there are 5 or 6 that still remain. Make a stealth check for me.
That's really good. That's a 30.
Oh my god. Okay. So you sense the moment, and you also sense the fact that you've broken a sight line from these individuals. You use the potion of fly to zip over the top and wedge yourself then almost fully beneath. Almost like you fly up over in the space and then get beneath the actual kilns. It's almost impossible. A place that would not really be accessible unless you could fly through the slit in the roof. It is Stin's turn. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. He's going to come in with his passive perception, not see you. He's then going to keep moving. He's going to take the dodge action. I'm going to give him a bonus action perception check. Yeah, he didn't roll a 30. Rolfie comes rolling in 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Where the fuck is he? Stin, you see him? Where is he, mate? You see him? Stin just sort of turns and like isn't even responding, such as the panic. Rolfie turns around, looks backward, and then heads this way on the other side. He is going to dash, thinking that you might have dashed, and head into this space and not be able to make it. He'll use his passive perception and not see you. Okay, it is your turn, Cierre. You have successfully dipped around, thrown these pursuers off. You see one of them, like, his head whooping around, like and as you look at him now, half-elf, kind of gawky face, but eyes as big as saucers. He's wearing leather armor that is studded, slightly reinforced, but he's looking around right now, his head whipping around like it's on a turnstile.
Going to try and I'm just gonna calmly speak to Sten and hope my voice kind of echoes in this little chamber here and be like, "Where are the prisoners, Sten? Tell me now or Rolfie dies." And then I'm gonna zip out.
And if you'd like, you can make either a persuasion or an intimidation check for me, Cierre.
Intimidation, they're the same. So let's go with intimidation because it sounds better.
Sure.
It's a 5.
A 5. Okay.
He's too scared to even listen.
Yeah, he's sort of coming around. Shit. They're fucking prisoners. They're fucking prisoners. What? You see, he sort of turns back. He's like about to kind of answer whenever he's so kind of petrified. He's also not sure if he's being toyed with. Like, if you really even want to know, is he the prisoner?
Yeah.
The man's shaking in his boots right now. Okay, so you wanted to move that I would say would be would be your action to make that intimidation check to try to sort of change the course of this interaction.
Sure.
If you and I don't mean to entrap you with that at all because I like giving that stuff away for free.
No, that's fine.
But if I more mean because that potentially, if successful, could have stopped the active combat from Sten. You do, of course, still have bonus action and movement if you'd like.
Yeah. I'm gonna. I mean, I will just. I can't dodge with the bonus action, cunning action, right?
You can only disengage, dash, and
hide, and then I've got some extras where I can sleight of hand, disarm traps and locks, and use object. But still, I don't see dodge there. So okay, so I'll just. I'm not gonna do anything with my bonus action.
Okay.
Or my movement. I'm just gonna stay put.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
you got
good.
it.
I just
So
wanna see how he
you are
responded.
still hidden. I will say because of that, they would have advantage because they do, I think, get a sense in this small room of the direction, but like they have no idea. Now they're like even more fucking spooked out. Rolfie did not hear that as well, but it is now Sten's turn. He has sort of been hopping around. Fuck! They're fucking prisoners! Fuck! Come on out! You don't want to go like this! In the fucking dark! Fucking all bloody and fucking dark! You see him, he's gonna use his bonus action to make a perception check. Natural one. Very fitting. And he... Let me just see if he has anything in his kit real quick. Sorry, guys. Let me bring it up real quick. Let me just make sure, because, no, he doesn't. Fucking idiot. So he is again gonna come in, and, yeah, the one thing I thought he was gonna use, he has to be able to see his target. So he will come in and sort of head closer, and he's gonna sort of pull back now with this drawn longsword, and hold an action. So that's gonna be his turn. Rolfie hears this exchange. He's like, "Fuck! Did you hear something? Did you hear something? Fuck! Okay, where? Come on out! You don't want it like this. If this is about prisoners in exchange, the Lady Illustra is reasonable, but not to people that murder the knights in silver. We're just fucking squires, Rolfie. Shut the fuck up, Sten." And he sort of looks around, and he's gonna bonus action. Pretty damn good. He sort of looks this way, turns back, and he is going to sort of take the dodge action as you just see him sort of like waiting, tenuous, holding, seeing what comes of this moment. And it's back to your turn, Cierre. You can tell that these people are rattled,
All right.
but at minimum sort of closing in on this section from which you've spoke. What would you like to do?
So if I fire from hidden, this potentially could be sneak attack.
100%?
I'm already hidden, right? I don't need to
100%.
start with a bonus action hide. Okay.
Correct.
In that case, I'll try it. He's taking the dodge action. I'm still going after him.
Okay. So straight roll?
But because I'm hidden, yeah, so it ends up being a straight roll.
Straight roll, but you still...
And I'm not using a barbed arrow for this one.
Okay, copy that.
Because I know he's a little more alert. It's pretty good. Yep, 24.
Okay.
Straight roll. Off a regular arrow.
24 hits, yeah. Roll damage on that.
24 hits. So that is
Damn.
8.
Dodge action.
Yeah. 8 plus some... Oh, 8 plus the D8 for the Hunter Colossus. 8, 9, 10, 11. Plus 2 for the humanoid. 12, 13. Plus my sneak attack. 13 plus 4 is 17. Plus 4 is 21.
Describe
and a final 2
how this
is
goes,
23.
Cierre, as you sort of use this potion of fly to just silently float, creating a sight line before this arrow flies out.
I just want to silently float and make eye contact with Sten right before it'd be like, your time's up, Sten, tick tock, and then release it
Wow.
on Rolfie.
And as you do that, make another intimidation check for me. You sort of rise up. You see Stin like
Another 5.
another 5. Love it.
Not very intimidating.
He, however, is locked in. I mean, he had sort of secretly been hoping for some sort of something. Like, he thought this was sort of bitch work. I mean, being sent miles beneath the city, especially after members of the Spell God had already come out, had already recovered whatever had been recovered, and now was just sending people to mule out the remnants of this highly dangerous powder. However, as it's unfolding, it's way more than he bargained for. And you see his eyes, again, as if they could grow even wider, now appear to break and fall out of his face. This final arrow. Although, fuck, what was it, 24? Shit, wouldn't have even mattered. He has access to shield, but who cares? You watch as Rolfie is sort of trying to kind of slow. I mean, he's pin-cushioned. One of them was broken off, but there are 3 shafts coming out of his chest and neck. And he begins to begin the process of making death saves. Yeah, 5 doesn't take. However, Stin was holding his attack. However, he's not going to risk throwing his longsword. So he sort of holds off on it. You see him sort of almost shaking, like sort of torn, looking back, looking to you, looking back. His eyes then sort of widely to you as he has a death grip but is not moving on his actual longsword. Anything else you'd like to do? I believe you still have a bonus action. And you still have a second attack. Fuck.
Yeah. I will point the... I'll load another arrow, just point it at Sten, and be like... your mate is dying, Sten. Tell me where the Drow prisoners are. And I'm just holding my attack.
Will you heal him? Do you know how to heal him? I mean, can you? Or is it all just a waste? Like, I don't want to fucking die. What the fuck do you want? Prisoners? They keep him beneath the High Palace, beneath the Star Court. He's fucking dying.
Beneath the Star. Do I know anything about where that is or what that is?
You
The
have
High
been
Palace?
within Silvery Moon 3 times. And each time it was an extreme to-do. For the very reason that these kilns and explosive powders have been brought. Because of the wards. The magical anthropic protection that had been wrought by the ancient first mage, Decanthar. He had essentially created this mithril ward that not only created certain, spells and dissipated other ones, created almost like a stopgap, like a firewall of the arcane within about 1.5 mile, 2 mile radius. But it also alerted the denizens of the spell guard of any drow, of any fiend, of any undead that were entering into the space. I mention this because you have not crossed that area where the ward happens, but with experience you know what it feels like. It's unnerving, almost like hands, oily hands writhing all over your skin. The previous times you had been brought in more or less with a drow accomplice. You yourself hidden, entering, and then a drow entering close behind you that would then give up their position and flee to justify sort of the blipping of the mithril wards.
like when they pass through that ward, that the beacon goes off. Once you're inside, it doesn't continue to.
Correct.
Beacon on you.
Correct. It's like one
So you
time.
can disguise your
It's almost like a
numbers.
door opening bell chime. There's no direction. There's no anything. There's
Gotcha.
just a chime. However, I say that because you have been within the temples of Silvery Moon. For the most part, Cierre, you were there on a fact gathering mission. You were there to more or less, get information specifically, or just perhaps ingratiate yourself. However, the Star Court is very much known to you. It is on the eastern side of the North Bridge, which is the northern side of Silvery Moon. Silvery Moon is split by a river. And on the northern side of that is sort of the nicer part of town, but it's where the High Palace is, which is sort of like the fucking walled fortress keep, the seat of power of Silvery Moon. And within it is the Star Court. And if this man is to be believed, beneath it are the jowls of the actual Star Court.
Path to necessarily get by the High Palace and to the Star Court.
Ask me one more time.
I don't know of a path to stay like underground necessarily, and bypass the High Palace and go straight to beneath the High Palace where the Star Court is.
You do
or
not.
sorry, no, reverse that. I've got that reversed. Wait, I don't know if I'm following.
Imagine
Prisoners are in the High Palace beneath the Star Court.
there is a keep on the eastern side of the North Bridge in Silvery Moon. It is known as the High Palace. It's an enormous
Okay.
keep complex that is walled and within the actual outer walls of the city of Silvery Moon, which itself is protected by an anthropic mithril ward. This is one of the oldest cities of
Right,
the north, one of the most well-built, one of the most well-defended. The High Palace is the name of this keep, more or less. The Star Court is both a euphemism for High Lady Illustrial, for those in power in Silvery Moon, but it is also a physical building within the High Palace. You have no idea what the fuck that is. You've never been. Beneath it are the jails. That's what he said. You imagine that is like literally beneath the earth, but you're not sure. You've never been. You have no idea. The only times you've ever entered the city have been either through the South Gate or through the East Gate, which again was using this almost like 2 in, 1 out system of coming in, triggering the wards, and then having a Drow associate take visibility by fleeing the city. So, as you are there, and as you have taken this this turn, your first action was to then slay this sort of, kind of head squire that had come down at the behest of the Spellguard. He is bleeding out on the floor beneath you. Absolutely petrified, about 10 feet beneath you, shaking, clutching this long sword, is Sten. You see this half-elf, tall, like I said, gawky, somewhat buck-toothed. You see this sort of freckled, ruddy amber complexion, and the mixture of what is hope, shock, and absolute violent fear. You do have a second attack. You do still have a bonus action. You have cried out to this individual. If you would like to use your bonus action to make one last persuasion or intimidation check, you may. Otherwise, you would need to sort of hold your attack and end your turn, if that makes sense. Or you can do something else, of course. But you have already taken the attack action.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold my attack and just see what he does.
Okay, so you immediately knock an arrow, and just like the sense, the hunter's like fingers, that sort of like movement and thinking, the interaction behind, is how you're able to inventory your arrows so fucking quickly. You pull one out that's not barbed, you knock it, you bring the bow taut. And as you do, you say this again: where were the prisoners? You see this like nasally almost whine. I don't fucking know. I mean, beneath the fucking Star Court in the jails. He's fucking dying. And as you sort of stow the bow and sort of the potentially secondary attack from this longbow, you see Sten, absolutely unsure of what to do. He tracks on you, extending this longbow towards you and making away. He sees you sort of almost pressed against the ceiling. He doesn't attack, but he's also not within range. It's almost childish, like the distance he's sort of trying to keep, the extension, the full kind of length of his arm almost like trying to use a broom to eschew a devil away. He comes to Rolfie. He bends down. You see apparating in his hand a small vial. Please, Rolfie, please fucking go. Fuck me. And you see Rolfie's eyes awake. He looks awful. Like he looks like half-lidded and prone. And as he sees you, he's going to use his action to sort of stand up and be like,
Fuck it. Run. Run, Stin.
And Rolfie is going to run. Stin still has 5, 10, 15 feet of movement. And as these two people, these two partial wizards but partial squires, these men on path to be members of the Knights in Silver themselves, you're in an interesting position. You don't know how much arcane prowess, you assume it's limited, and what they have tried has been woefully enacted. However, he did just summon a fucking elixir and give it to his downed companion. He also doesn't seem that fucking capable. Rolfie is on death's fucking doorstep, and as he limps, trying to stow the tide of blood from his own neck and chest wounds, he's essentially fleeing. You, however, Cierre, are very much a stranger in this place. So what would you like to do? It is your turn.
All right.
They have both taken their action.
All right. I'm gonna come out from hiding
Sure.
and head out just where I've got a straight line of sight. I'm gonna lob another arrow at Rolfie over Stan.
Sure.
As they run.
Roll to hit.
Yep. Cool. Natural 1.
Yet again, my
So-
friend.
Extra attack, do the same thing.
Sure.
That's much better. That's a 26.
That hits. And no need to roll damage, as he regained 2 hit
Okay.
points.
Oh.
You, again, knock this arrow. He half turns, but doesn't get all the way there. He slides before his head and skull thwacks against the stone, again falling unconscious. Looks rough and rugged. It is, you still have a bonus action if you'd like, and you still have movement.
I'm gonna stay where I am. No need for a bonus action. I'm just gonna say, drop your weapons to Sten.
Because of these failed persuasion and intimidation rolls, Sten sees this happen, and he is still. I'm going to give him a Constitution saving throw with advantage. The DC will be 13. He rolled a 14. You see Stan sort of gather himself. Fuck. No, Rolfie. You fucking. Stop it. In the name of Lady Illustral. And he's going to dash towards you. And are you still flying? So he is going to make an attack. He rolls a 16.
That's a miss.
Which is just sort of flinging it. It's too far. It's just out of the way. And you can see as this sort of panic is feeling Stan, and he's looking back. I mean, these men that, yeah, they've been shooting the shit, but this also had been an important mission to a degree, especially to kind of close the gap on whatever had been found within this Drow stronghold, this sort of burrowing up to the very sort of gates and shadow of the wards of Silvery Moon. And you see panic overwhelm him. As he misses, he flings forward. Trophy! It's too much, too fast. Too much loss and violence in one moment for this half-elf to bear. The sword goes pulsing from his hands. cling, catching against the edge of this steel kin and rattling beneath your feet. He sees this. Having missed, having lost his weapon of preference, he uses the rest of his movement to sort of press him again. Don't, please, fucking don't. And he heads that way. His turn having ended. It's now your turn, Cierre.
And I'm just gonna shoot him.
Okay. Go for it.
Cool. That's a 21.
21 definitely hits.
That is 8, 9, 10 points of damage. And then I'll shoot him again.
Okay, go for it. It just pierces through this studded leather armor. He backpedals even faster,
That's an
almost
18.
losing his footing. 18 also hits. Roll damage on that.
Uh, 11, 13,
And he has taken damage now.
8. Yep. 13, 15. Yeah, 15.
Wow. He looks awful. This second one comes through, and there's this as you hear the piercing one you know familiar as you have collapsed his right lung. This arrow lodging kind of through the padded leather, offering absolutely no defense to the pressure of this longbow at this proximity. He looks awful. Would you like to use any movement?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Actually, no, not yet. I'll stay put. That'll be the end of that round. That turn.
Cool. Okay, so Sten is absolutely fucking boned. He has no idea what he's doing. He has lost sort of the man that was leading him through the majority of his training as a squire to the Knights in Silver. He sees him bleeding out, having been twice killed, the full extent of his magic bringing him back, but offering no protection. Having taken an arrow to the chest, he's going to flee. And he will use his dash action. He's gone. I don't have the fog up, but you can't see this. But yes, you know he turned the corner. It's your turn, Cierre. I assume you go after him.
My bonus action to dash, if necessary.
Cool.
So I've still got my action.
So that gets you right here. Convenient. As you come by here. He's just running. I mean, huffing, looking back, and as he sees you, no! Fuck no! Please!
I'd like to knock him out rather than outright kill him.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would do that with an arrow.
It specifies
Actually
in the
have,
DM's guide that you can make a non-lethal attack as long as you specify. In the same way someone has knowledge of wounds and how to create damage. I mean, there's ones, just like a boxer pulling their punches. We all know whenever you're like slapping someone, it's like whenever you hit someone too hard, you're like, oh God, like, I was excited. But no, that's not a problem. If you'd like, you can go ahead having specified that. He looks awful, but if you're trying to attack, you still do have 2 attacks having withheld your action.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, go for it. You pull back, seeing this apprentice knight in silver, absolutely woe-begotten, terrified.
That's just a 16.
16 hits.
Oh, wow.
Catches right in sort of the mix of like kind of where the hip is, kind of like almost on the ball of the hip.
That's 11 points of damage.
Oh, yeah. So as this happens, Cierre, there's this scream. And you know many of the pressure points of humanoid bodies. I mean, that's like the efficacy of the sneak attack. Being hit, especially a high piercing, like high pressure weapon on the ball of the hip is insane. Such a gathering of nerves and blood. You hear before he faints from the pain. He falls, stable but unconscious, onto the floor of this very strange, almost like fur and bone-strewn room. But you, having absolutely walloped these fools, are no longer in combat. But you do find yourself sort of in this murky unknown, this sort of strange underdark that was very familiar to Baranchena, but you didn't expect to have guests in, and now is again filled with that sort of corroded, noisome odor of death.
I first want to go over to Sten, make sure he's stable, and see if he has any rope on him that I can tie him up with, because I don't have rope, which is very sad.
He does have an adventurer's pack. You find what is essentially a crowbar, a pickaxe, and 60 feet of rope, which is actually longer than what you were expecting. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'll tie him up, just make in case he comes to anytime soon. Just to make sure he can't get away, and then I'll gag him at the same time.
Make a survival check.
It's a 17.
Cool. Feel pretty damn good about it. He's bound securely as you sort of like pin his arms behind him. You check for a pulse, and you find one. Weak though it may be, his breath is shallow, but he is stable.
I'll remove his weapons and
Sure.
all of that.
His longsword had been dropped. You do find a short sword and a dagger. You remove them both.
Cool. I'm gonna go check. He doesn't have any. I want to check him, see if he's got any notes.
Sure.
Or any. Just letters or something from command or whatnot.
You got it. We'll say that you're doing this for both Rolfie and Sten. Make an investigation check
Yeah.
as you move kind of between these two individuals.
All right. Investigation. That's a 9. I am not a good investigator.
So,
That's rough.
as you're moving through them, you, especially Rolfie, has been emptied of the majority of his body's blood. I mean, the wounds of the neck and chest were, like high volume points. As you sort of are moving through and trying to strip away some of the ringmail of these squires, you see that it is really pretty ruined. You do find a pouch with 18 pieces of gold on Rolfie. You also find what appears to be like a component pouch, which you didn't really expect to find on this pretty heavily armored marshal. However, it's there nonetheless. You find no notes from command, no communication of any kind. You also find on Sten 12 pieces of gold and 10 pieces of silver, which I guess could just be 13 pieces of gold, but 10 of them are in silver, Matthew. And as you do that, you also find this sort of waxy kind of wrapper, this strange kind of tacky substance. It appears to be some sort of candy.
All right. I mean, if it just looks like candy to me, I'll just unwrap that and pop that in my mouth.
Sure.
While I'm searching around here.
And it is.
Why not?
It's it is almost like a Laffy Taffy. It's like very sort of like stringy and chewy and like overly so, but as you get into it, you're like, oh fuck, this is really nice. Sugarcane and molasses, it's like overly sweet, but as you kind of like cut it a little bit, as in chew it, it loses that over sweetness and becomes nice. But you know, in about 3 minutes, it's probably gonna lose all that flavor, so you eat it. What would you like to do, Cierre? You are in this space that was the main point of operation for Baranchena and one of the sort of the points of the vanguard of the armies of Scaravan, the sort of the armies of the Drow, the Underdark. I think you know that you are pretty close to the city. There's obviously areas to the south you haven't seen within this chamber, and there is. What was I going to say? They, of course, were rolling these barrels kind of to the southern side. But I think if it's cool with you, brother, as you sort of ponder kind of what you do, we'll take maybe a quick 5, and then we can just sort of see.
Okay, I like that.
So we will take a 5er, and we will see.
So
you guys
5-minute
shortly.
intermission.
Little mish.
Hey.
are back.
We back.
Welcome. And happy to be back. So, if you're just joining us,
Happy to be back.
we've been cruising, we've been bruising. I'm with Cierre, the Drow Spy, and she has successfully navigated, a bit of a tricky scenario. She is essentially entering this space sacred to the Drow god Scaravan, and uncovered members of the Knights of Silver, squires, coming in what is sort of the end push of clearing out this space and the remnants of the Drow vanguard that were found within. The space is now largely empty. At least the space that you're in, Cierre. So, if you'd like, you can further investigate. But you're sort of, kind of, as you have often been tasked by a superior and given very little of framework. Simply a goal. The solution falling to you.
Okay, so maybe I missed this. Did I get the impression that these kilns are what power the ward over Silvery Moon, and these were the target?
No, and you would know. I'm sorry because I like, yeah, I know quite a bit about Baronchena, and treat you,
Sure.
Cierre, as of course a known associate, but didn't put all of that in the pages I sent you. This was essentially what Baronchena was doing, was building this internal tunneling system, was shaping Earth to allow entryways deep where these wards had been set. Now, you also saw a ghost calling himself Ezroth, the Delver, wearing the markings of Saloon. You knew that whenever Decanthar first set these wards around Silvery Moon, that he had pressed deep within the earth out of necessity. So, these kilns are of Drow creation. And were meant to be used with this, slowly over time with this explosive powder to fill this space before igniting it. However, having been discovered, the Knights in Silver have gone and have essentially removed significant portions, if not all, of the powder that was brought in by the Blind Jackals and left here cached within this sanctuary of Scaravan. So, you were sent to set an explosive charge. However, most of these explosive barrels, are not here. I mean, you see spaces similar to the first area where there are trace amounts. There are rings in the dirt where clearly barrels have been situated for some length of time. And then similar to what you saw on the western side of the chamber, sort of rolls and kind of edging marks where these barrels have been shifted in tandem to the southern side of the space, presumably towards their removal.
Okay, and so I gather that just this whole cavernous area used to be filled with many more barrels, and this was supposed to be the site of the explosion. Like this, okay.
Correct.
And the kilns were to assist in that explosion, I guess.
The kilns
in some
were
way?
essentially allowing access deep within the earth, deep within the rock.
They just provided the tunnel, like helped with the tunneling. or
Correct,
something.
exactly. It's almost like setting
Gotcha.
charges in specific places.
Okay. So the next thing I need to so blowing up a kiln does not help me. I was hoping like blowing up one single kiln might help with the ward, but doesn't seem like that's the case. So, I guess I'm gonna leave. What's his name? Sven.
Yeah.
Sten. I'm gonna leave Sten for a bit, and try and trace where the cache of these barrels that they were moving. There's still like 6 or 7 barrels around here, but it looks like there used to be probably like 100 barrels, 200 barrels, and that's what's missing.
It is.
Do I get a sense of how many used to be that were needed?
I would say make a perception check, as you've kind of now, we'll say, sort of moved largely through this space. You see,
26.
26. Cierre, you head back in here. You see another kiln, and again, like this is representative of how this space was. And with that perception check, you do see, I mean, groupings of dozens of barrels. There is a desk that has been cleared out as well, and another large kiln in this room with a brazier, the low remnants of fire. It appears that dozens, probably 80 to 100 plus, of these barrels have been removed from the space. How many of them had already been emptied into the kiln is unclear or unknown. However, you make your way now through the southern side. There are no animals, no figures within this space, but you do see a large box, about 25 by 15, musty, very sort of worn and turned hay. You see an empty barrel, and then the ground kind of shifts and goes downward, and you can see the remnants of actually a burned and charred. The flames are not still licking, but this southeastern sort of watchtower has been brought down to the ground. And you see on the western side of the space sorry, I don't mean to block this. There we go. Wagons that have been burned. However, you do see, and sorry, I meant to sort of properly put this on here. Just mark this in this fashion right here. Beep. You do see a very strange kind of bracketed device resting on the southern side of this chamber, which is very expansive. I mean, as you kind of come down those steps from the area where that kind of pen, that animal pen, had been located, the chamber itself vaults upward 90, 100 feet.
Okay.
I'll put you now down here. Make another perception check for me.
14.
14, cool. There is there does appear to be on the western side, I'll sort of mark it with the laser pointer, where this wagon had been. Sorry, that's not the laser pointer. Yeek. And it appears to have been like stacked, almost like a burn pile, almost like a refuse sort of burn. I mean, it's clearly like a broken wagon. But there's any number of sort of like, one appears to be almost like an end table or a chair. You see cording what appears to almost be like a carpet. It's unclear. But things that have been burned and now kind of charred down. And then here on the southern side, where this yellow box is demarking it, you see a it's almost like a wide U-shaped trolley. However, it rests off the ground, hovering about 5 inches, not touching the actual stone. Laden on top of it rest 11 barrels, one of which is still smudged with kind of a chalky outline. It looks almost like the head of a fox or a lupine creature. It's unclear. But this thing looks like it can fold in on itself, but it's about, like I said, 5 inches across the ground and about 8 feet long and about 4 feet wide. The sides of it coming up on either side, and the ends of it simply just like low-lipped and resting. Like you can bring things up to it, put it on very easily, and then the ends of it go up about 3-4 feet. But it appears to be some sort of telekinesis trolley. And as I said, it's laden with these 11 barrels.
Okay. Okay. And do I see like an exit like towards the above ground space somewhere, anywhere?
So on the southern side
where
of
that
this,
trolley.
on the southern side of this room, there's a wide kind of almost like a sheet of rock, and on either side of it, almost like walking down to like the edge of a movie theater, where there are exits on the left and right, if the screen itself is this enormous sheet of rock that goes up into this cavern 80, 90, 100 feet. On the eastern western corners of the map, you do see the edgings of sort of tunnels wrapping around into darkness. There's no indication which side they came from, but you can make a survival check if you like.
$20.
So, the actual cart makes really no track. But as you sort of examine the air around it, you do see heavy markations and footfalls coming from the east, in alignment with the actual path of what a trolley would have had to take in if it was coming from either the western side or the eastern side. And with that roll, you deduce it came from this eastern edge.
Put some stuff down. Let's see. Okay. So I've got 11 barrels here, maybe 6 or 7 still kind of scattered around if they had yet to load.
Mm-hmm.
That's not enough to destroy this underground cavern system to bring down the wards. Baron Chena has presumably been captured. Presumably he is he's captured in the Star Court beneath the High Palace. But that's a fortress. So let's go. Actually, can I'm gonna sneak. I'm gonna put my hood up. I'm gonna sneak up this path to the east just to see what's up there. See if there's people waiting to collect these barrels.
As in going around the side here into this chamber?
Yeah,
Cool.
where it looks like all the traffic had been going.
And I will say,
Just to see if there's like another, yeah.
and it's just worth noting that there are hooded lanterns on the eastern and western side of this trolley, appear to have been set down a respectable distance, 25 feet away from the actual trolley itself. I only mention that because as you come around the side here, it is almost devoid of light, other than the dim light spilling from behind you. Make a perception check.
20, dirty 20.
20, okay. It's a wide tunnel that opens up actually from sort of the kind of narrow sectioning between this larger chamber and this tunnel section. But it's about 20 feet in diameter, more oval than it is perfectly round, wider than it is tall. But it appears to snake off into the distance.
That's probably the direction if I want to head out towards, I guess, I'm assuming Silvery Moon. That's where they were bringing all of these. So, let me go back to Sten.
Sure. So as you do, you make your way back into this room that is, again, like littered with bones, hair. You see him conscious and actually pressing against the bones. Fuck. Oh, fuck me now. Fuck me. Hey. I don't want any trouble, okay? I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to. I just. Please, get me out of here.
The rest of the barrels. Where are the rest of the barrels?
The fuck do you want with the barrels? You know, he sees you. Oh. You're Drow, huh?
I'll take my hood down.
It ain't right to try to come in and blow a fucking hole in the city. It ain't right.
City. There were 11 barrels loaded up on your trolley. Where are the others?
And Cierre, it's just been tough.
Are they up
you
the
guys
tunnel?
have moved through combat. You now have him, tied.
Yeah.
His superior, dead. Not far away. He's in way over his head. And you see that over this break over his face. I mean, sort of the gaudy confidence that had been driving the off-the-hand conversation betwixt himself and Rolfi is completely absent. Promise me that I'll live. I'm begging you that I'll just get back to the city, okay? I know that if I tell you, it's because you're trying to go up there and blow it up, so I can't tell you. I can't. Please.
Knock him out.
Okay. Easy enough to do.
Okay, so what I want to do, and this is going to be a little wild. We'll see if it works. First, I want to take Rolfi and drag him north, just to that chasm, the pit, whatever, and throw him in.
Okay. Extremely grim. You go up and you grab him. Sure.
I'm going to strip some of his armor.
Got it.
And I might utilize some of it.
Okay.
Weapons, armor, that sort of thing. I'm not sure, but I'll strip it.
Definitely an option. It is
drop him
douched in blood. This man has been baptized in his own death. I mean, the neck having been opened up by this flurry of longbow bolts. However, you do take him over there. It does take you about 5 minutes to unclip this sort of mixture of ringmail and half plate, but you do so.
Sure.
The sort of tunic beneath, ruined, completely worthless. But the sort of sigil and the actual armor, though bloodstained, is usable. You strip him of kind of the skirt that makes up the bottom half of this armor, the bracers as well. And you kick him into the abyss. Say it one more time.
Carry the business, all of his gear and whatnot, back towards Sten.
Sure.
And you let me know if this is possible. What I want to do is strip Sten of his armor and business, and I want to take my disguise kit and spend an hour if it takes. We'll do a little short rest, a little disguising, and make Sten look like a drow, if possible.
Wow. Intense. So.
Yeah, and then at the same time, I'm also going to try and make myself look like a guard, one of these.
Gotcha.
One of these squires of Saloon.
I will say, this is possible. Very doable for yourself to pass yourself off as a humanoid. You know your palette, your skin tones really, really well. Everything you have in your kit is relative to transferring your body into looking like something else. It's rare you've ever, if ever. But I think for sake of this, we'll see, you might have, who can say, turn something into a drow. You, of course, don't ever need to do that.
Yeah.
Any iteration on the drow form, you have such a natural palette in your humanoid form that it's already done, more or less. However, you strip him of his less sullied but similar armaments. And as you sort of, remove them, pull them free, give me a... Usually disguise kit is charisma. But I think given what you're doing here, give me a wisdom check with your proficiency added as you have this kit at your disposal. To first see if you can disguise and sort of use some of your own components to style Sten as a drow.
That is an 18.
Oof. The DC was 17. So, you take out some of your, some of these sort of gels that you almost use as contacts. That's some of the most pivotal, fundamental groupings of your disguise kit is disguising your eyes. These dark, open irises, so used to low light that they shudder and look almost strained in the daylight. You, of course, have some experience with absorbing daylight, dealing with it, learning how to, but nonetheless, it's still an obstacle. You actually take out some of the skin paints that you usually use to change your hue one direction or the other, and you mix them together, creating these sort of ruddy, dark browns, and also these deep, pure whites, to create drow eyes for Sten. You feel really fucking good about them. It's just a matter of waiting and letting them dry. As you set, there's this sort of awareness that it's, probably either a brilliant plan or a foolish one. But either way, it's one that is
kind of desperate.
Yeah, is being executed at this point at a high level. The painting of his body, easily enough done. You bring him to course, and soon enough, he already has really the ears. He needs a little bit of help, but the base is there as a half-elf. You wish that you could actually narrow his nose a little bit, but with some shading, doubling with the skin tone that you've added, you sort of contour it. The entire effect is quite convincing. Anyone with an extremely high investigation or perception, or an unnaturally high resting passive perception, of course, could see through it. But you yourself are having trouble not seeing him as a drow. You haven't put in the actual contacts because they haven't dried yet. And so you begin to move on yourself. So please do the same, this time with advantage as you have such experience. Are you trying to take on the visage of actually Sten? Or is it something else?
Trying to look like Sten.
Okay. Because that's a harder ask, right?
Yeah.
But it's a better
same
one.
Thing.
A good one. Yeah, no, please. Same thing.
Wisdom and proficiency.
Please. As you have this kit.
All right. That is
the DC is 15.
18.
Okay. Wow. So slightly easier, but still challenging as you're trying to get specific with this man. What makes it easier are the freckles and sort of the ruddy nature to the skin. Yeah. Your skin is your hair and skin are both so fair that they really are easily influenced by dyes, by coloration. And it's much less time. It's about 20 minutes. You actually go back to that strange mirror, if you'll let me color it this way, in that opening kind of chamber on the north part of the room.
Yeah.
And about 20-30 minutes goes by. You're the right height, the right build, but now you've given yourself this almost sort of ruddy, waxy complexion. Your hair now moves towards sort of an amber brown. And your eyes, light-colored, almost identical, with this sort of dappled bridge and freckling across the ridge of the cheeks and nose. His family would know, but will his compatriots? Unclear. He undoubtedly had a way of speaking, a way of living, but visually it looks pretty fucking solid. Another 30 minutes go by, Cierre, and the contacts have dried. He's still unconscious. You peel back his eyelids and fit them in, sort of measuring them. He kind of sort of groaning against his own wounds in this like strange semi-conscious state.
Gagged.
He is gagged, but he does regain consciousness. You see him beginning to kind of stir, sort of like feeling something off, like something sort of uncomfortable in his eyes, but being bound and very sort of weak at one hit point. He's struggling to a minimal degree.
All right.
What would you like to do?
Let's see. Just a quick side thing. I wanted to, because I forgot to mention this, I wanted to try and gather my arrows or see what I could recover from the earlier thing.
So make a survival check for me to see if you can recover half rounded down of your spent arrows.
Sure. I rolled a 16.
Cool. You got it. You go back, you find half. So if you fired 5, that would be 2. If you fired 6, that'd be 3.
Okay. I did 5 barbs, so I'll get 2 of those back.
Cool.
And then I did 3 regular, so I'll get 1 of those back.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Cool. So I'm gonna take him. I guess I'll try and carry him, just fling him over my shoulder, to the trolley.
Okay. So, what's your base strength?
It is 14, so I'm a +2.
So there's no rush here. You're able to do it. Takes you a matter of minutes, but you move him to this area. That's so funny. Brian, are you here? I just saw Gloris join the party.
Yeah.
Brian! Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There is nothing I would love more than for Gloris Tugglebutt.
Dip in and out, like.
Let's go.
Had fallen asleep under a cart.
Yes. No, she is long removed in another city. I'm not sure what's going on. Her spirit moves here. Okay, so you move him on, sort of resting him almost on top of this, quite full. You see that there is room for basically 2 more barrels, and you know that there are 2 more barrels inside the space. It's up to you whether or not you want to try to move them. But he is loaded up. He's there. You feel good about it. You feel uncertain. I mean, you feel sure of the way they came, but not sure of what awaits you.
Moving this trolley around, maneuverability of this trolley, does it seem like it's easier if I remove some barrels, or because it's telekinetic, it makes no difference one way or the other if it's lighter or not?
So you move it, and then you sort of take some time to move a barrel or 2 off. You don't really see an immediate difference.
Okay.
It isn't that hard to push.
All right.
It's more it's a more kind of cumbersome. You found like stopping it was oddly weird. Like you ended up kind of sprinting around to the other side of it. Perhaps that's why they had 2 people. But it doesn't appear massively impacted by the weight as much as it is spacing and just the cumbersome nature of its design and almost like hydroplane way of travel, if that makes sense.
Let's take him up the tunnel. Let's start heading above ground.
So you begin.
We're gonna test things out.
To push. And I would say, as you go, as you're sort of moving all these barrels around, make you're sort of moving some of these around, and you see there are outlined on some of the rounded sort of wooden stakes that make the entirety of these wooden barrels. You see smudges of chalk, and as I said, they were almost like fox-headed or almost like lupine in nature. But if you'd like, make either a history check. Jackal-esque maybe, considering that I know that they came from the blind jackals. There you go. Well, you already put it together, you brilliant man. It is indeed the telltale call of the blind jackals. But yeah, you're like, yeah, it doesn't actually even take you that time. You're like, well, now I'll just whistle to myself. You push your way down this hallway. It does occasionally break into wider caverns. Are you taking any of these lanterns with you? Like, how are you traveling in terms of illumination? It is absolute pitch black once you leave the, about 100 feet from where this chamber and tunnel meet.
I'm going to start assuming the persona of Sten. So I'll take one up the tunnel as if, like, this is normal, traveling it back and forth. I am going to take a second before I reach whatever exit might be where there's people. And sure. It occurs to me that I might have to actually talk. So I'm going to do, using my disguise kit if possible, just like a rope burn around my throat as if I had been momentarily strangled.
Interesting. Okay. Give me another check with your disguise kit. I think this is just a specific one. Similar DC, but again, wisdom plus your proficiency.
Good. Yeah, this is good. 19 plus 4 is nice. 23.
You have the idea, and you actually like stop, and you're like, should I? But you've always been meticulous, Cierre. I mean, one willing to use time to your side, especially given the sort of unconscious nature of of Sten, and given the dead nature of Rolfi, you head back in to this chamber. And as you're sort of putting the finishing touches around this, what looks almost like singed, it is compression and friction burn, but it looks almost like fire, almost as if a red-hot band had been pressed and then left. It's moving toward bruising, but highly irritated. It looks fucked up. And as you do so, you notice this ripple run the outer circumference and length of this near 8-foot tall mirror. And make a religion check for me.
We're at the mirror.
And just for anyone
17.
in future ref, 17, okay. More than the 15 you needed. We're back here in this chamber, the floor of which in a wide berth is covered in a black, sticky substance, which you recognize as blood, Cierre. And as you head up into this actual chamber, flanked on either side with braziers, for those at home, we can see things that Cierre cannot. These braziers now lie cold and empty. But as you stare into this strange, like opal reflection, almost like a clouded mirror, you put the finishing touches on this violent rope burn injury. And there's this red energy flickers across the length, and you see for a brief flash a beast of horror, an enormous ebbing organ with this almost parrot-like beak in its center. 5, 6, 7, 8 squid-like tentacles coming out. And with that roll, you recognize it as a guardian of the inner circles of hell, a Sybriax, one of the foulest fiends really ever faced by the Drow militia. They are nasty creatures that often follow nothing but their own cruel intention, are released on other planes as ways to destabilize or destroy. And you know that Baron Chaina had sought to bend the will of such towards his own power. But it's strange, Baron Chaina gone, this mirror is still here. This evil so close, but apparently separated. However, you put on the rope burn. And you make your way back. Sure.
Would I know that the list of true names has any... Is that the same type of demon that the list of true names could potentially control?
It could. I mean, Sybriaxes are so sort of specific and, dare I say, rare. The list of true names contains some of the oldest demon lords, princes, and fiends in existence. So simply put, you don't know. It certainly could.
I'll head back down.
Okay. You can ask.
And it was just a flash in the mirror. That's all that was. Just a flash.
It's
behind
almost
the
like
mirror.
clouds broke and retracted.
I see. Right.
Okay. This guy's dead. Sorry to show him, but... So you start pushing this cart.
By the way, did any of that time putting on the disguise on both me and Sten or anything like that, did any of that amount to a possible short rest?
Because it was so active, no.
Purposes?
But you absolutely could take a short rest, if you like.
And that's an hour?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why not? Why not? Patience is key. Patience is key. Let's take a short rest.
Sure.
I'm all alone out here. I need all the hit points I can get.
Sten is awake through this.
Yep.
And remains silent through most of it. But as you move forward and onward, in your rest rather, is there anything specifically you'd like to do? Or does an hour simply pass? Totally fine with that. Just want to give you the opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm good Yeah, nothing I think I've done what I need to do. So,
Cool.
just mark down how many hit dice I have left.
Sure. Appreciate you tracking that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is there anything I want to say this? Oh, I'll just casually remark to Sten during this, like, you said you didn't want to die. If you play your part right, that'll be the case. You'll be discovered to have been captured to be a prisoner, and you'll go on about living your life. You'll be able to see your mom and your papa. And everything will be fine. You're playing your part well. Good rehearsal. Good rehearsal.
You see his eyes like wide, right? And it's crazy because like you've even tinted this to sort of allow for sort of like, slight shading in iris. Looks really fucking good. But he presses back, mumbling against his bonds. As you press forward, you travel, and we were on this map, but you had pushed onward. You're now out of this chamber and have been. You pass through. Most of it is like pretty one direction, shout out, in the sense that there aren't a lot of forks, but there are spots where the tunnel opens up in a cavernous space, and there are times that within these tunnels you can see, just like by the comparative illumination of this hooded lantern, which, depending on how you catch it, either leaves kind of a wide or a narrow kind of beam. I'm treating it as, somewhat kind of medium. But you see along the actual kind of ceiling of some of the actual chambers. Again, you'll walk for 30, 40 minutes before coming to one. And then walk another 30, 40 minutes, an hour maybe, before getting to a second. You'll occasionally see simple, almost like painted reliefs, like grooves have been carved in the wall and ceilings above and then painted over. I hesitate to say cave paintings, but they have almost an abstract nature that then occasionally does appear like impressionistic. If you'd like, you can make another religion check, or you can make a history check.
A history check of 12.
It reminds you of the seat of remembrance, and you're not sure. You're like, dude, am I like, is this Drow? Is this whole space Drow? And it kind of feels that way. But as you're moving closer to the surface, you're like, But you see so many of these abstract reliefs appear to like gather, especially near the edges where the ceiling meets the wall and comes down to meet the floor of this chamber. Reminds you of the falling stars, the almost night sky and tumble and free fall that you had seen previously and frequently within the actual seat of remembrance in Menzoberranzan. You press onward, and there is a moment that moves your skin and stomach as you again feel oily hands moving about your person, neck, body, nether regions, everywhere. Almost like you've been slapped and dipped and dragged through the mud, but in no longer than a second and a half. As you press through the invisible exterior barriers of the outer wards of Silvery Moon. And I think that's where we'll pick up next time, brother. As you...
Oh, God. Okay.
I will say this, though. As you have now traveled, literally almost 3 hours from this original chamber, it hasn't been hard to press. Occasionally you do kind of dink and dank against, against the sides of some of these chambers, but you're unmolested and absolutely undisturbed. There is nary a ripple of air, of movement, much less breath. As you do sort of, move from the second chamber that I described into a third one that is similar, right? Similar kind of tone with that 12 abstract stars in free fall. You arrive to an open walkway It's about 12 feet wide. The chamber goes vertical, farther than you can see with your hooded lantern. And you see on either side of this 12-foot walkway, absolute plunging darkness. Ending about 90 feet away from you is a stone archway. 2 pincers meeting at a central arch.
Foot length of, is it like a bridge over this
Almost. Yeah,
chasm?
almost.
Chasm?
And at the end of this 90 feet, you see going about 12 feet up a stone archway that looks like a very clear representation of twin pincers coming up and meeting at a point.
Huh. I don't guess I don't know what these pinchers are, if they're a
that's
symbol
so
of
funny.
something.
Yeah, no roll necessary for Drow. This is the crafting of Drow. This is what was sort of used by Decanthar and Ezroth the Delver, but had been begun by the Drow themselves when they had fled the surface and first ventured into the Underdark nearly 5,000 years ago. This is where the chambers and tunneling of the Underdark end, and the land of the Lurkers begins.
And the Lurkers.
Land of the Lurkers, my boy. But Maddie,
Is that a term that I know as a Drow?
oh yeah, Lurkers are what you guys call all the surface dwellers. Umbrage,
I gotcha,
Umbrage
that's
was
the land of the
dropping that
Lurkers.
pretty regularly. I think.
Gotcha,
Fuck,
okay.
I don't really know. Maybe I didn't. But yeah, you would absolutely know that.
Oh,
Maddie.
I don't clock everything.
Oh my god, not at all. Yeah. No
Got it.
worries, no worries. I more meant like Cierre would like totally immediately know what that is.
Cierre knows it. Cool.
But yeah, dude.
Oh man, we're there.
You're
Knocking
here.
at the
You got
door.
some explosive powder. You are in disguise. You have Sten dressed up as a nearly, fully restrained and barely conscious Drow, and we will see what comes of it. You'll be basically starting here. You can tell there are a bunch of steps going up. It doesn't really seem like you can take the lift up it, but maybe you can.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
But I appreciate you so much,
Okay,
Maddie. This has been
man.
fun.
This was wild.
I had such a blast. Like, love it when you come on. Love it just sort of because I'm like, well, I'm going to set this up and we'll see how this goes. This is sick.
Yeah.
Totally in keeping with her disguise.
Yeah,
Like, I
take
fucking
it.
love it.
Taking it weird. Yeah, we're bringing that back. That's her
bro.
thing.
Take it weird.
She's not a fighter. She's a disguiser.
I agree. Well, she's whatever she needs to be, right? She's a crafty
Yeah, that's
young
true.
individual.
She's pretty good at fighting.
She's pretty good at finding a way.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us. We had a blast. This is going to be the final installment. Will be next Monday. The third part. We'll see whether or not Cierre gets any answers as to where Baron Chaina is, and if she's able to set the trigger on this powder. However, I'm certainly excited to see. I'm sure my main campaign will be interested in finding out what happens. As again, this is sort of an NPC now manned and brought to life by Matt, which has been super duper fun, man. Like, really, really enjoy it. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay, but yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, there is a bit. But yeah, this has been fun, man. This is wild, and my brain is like in pretzels trying to figure out like what the hell should I do now.
Yeah, it's tough whenever you're one-on-one, whenever you're just solo bolo.
Yeah.
Like, that's scary and hard. But
it's
appreciate
a
you.
blast.
Yeah, May appreciate everybody rolling through. This was a fun one. And yeah, we'll see you next Monday. Love yourself till then.
Cool.